Welcome to this introduction to the 10-week sprint process that you are about to start with your teams. As a participant, you will need to learn about the different methodologies and tools you will be using during this sprint. This video is the first high-level overview of what is about to happen. You will be introduced at more detailed level once we begin the preparation phase. Organizations each have their own reasons for running the 10-week ExO Sprint. Reality is often that the pace of change outside of an organization is much faster than the speed of change within the organization. Traditional innovation programs are not running at the speed they need to, and when disruptive innovation is attempted, the immune system attacks the new initiative. Your focus for this sprint may be different, but whatever your business challenges are, we will work together to identify them and define the goals of this sprint. Here are some common goals as example. The outcomes reported by other ExO Sprint clients include an increased awareness all across the involved participants and senior leaders of the exponential trends, disruptive startups and new business models that are all representing new opportunities if we study and experiment with them. The same can be threatening if our competitors do and we fail to learn fast enough. A sprint is very hands-on and all participants accelerate their learning by working in new ways with new ideas. A very important side effect of this is a change of mindset, when they realize they can do more with less, and interact with the world rather than isolate themselves in their efforts. Many new skill sets are developed during the very intense sprint process. The sprint has 3 phases: the prepare, the execute and the follow-up phase. The first is prepare. Here we plan the sprint, such as setting the key dates for the in-person workshops, staffing the sprint teams and define the scope of the sprint. You will receive detailed checklists to help you in your preparations. This material is all online and you will receive a login to the website sprinthero.com where you will find all the tools and material. We also meet for an Awake workshop, where all sprint participants, invited leaders from the sprinting organization and guests who may choose to invite get together in person. The purpose of the Awake workshop is to discuss the disruption that is about to transform your particular industry, or maybe it already did and your organization needs to find out how to respond and remain relevant to clients in the market. The workshop is typically 1,5 to 3 hours and can be done with hundreds of guests in an auditorium. Before the 10-week sprint itself starts, we will work with your sprint teams to help them practice the sprint methodologies and the tools we will be using so they are prepared as much as we can for the intense experience it is to sprint. This is done in a dedicated one-day workshop that usually follows the day after the Awake workshop, where the sprint participants practice in a full-day sprint simulation, where we work on a case study from a different industry. This is to avoid jumping into solution mode too fast and allow us to focus on learning the methodologies only during this day. The participants would now all have the recommended literature and video content that will support them in their work, as well as access to our online collaboration tools. Keep in mind that most of the sprint requires virtual collaboration between the coach and the sprint team while we are not together in person. Before we introduce you to the 10 sprint weeks, it is important to know that a key part of an ExO Sprint is the 2 parallel streams, where 1 or more teams go through the sprint in the edge stream and 1 or more teams go through the core stream. This approach is important to learn how to manage different types of innovation to avoid the organizational immune system to attack the innovative ideas. The edge stream is where the edge teams design disruptive innovation, which is innovation that the core organization perceive as threatening to the existing business model. These teams must operate on the edge of the core organization and be allowed and supported to work in environments that are physically separated from the mother organization. Supporting sponsors must be identified to help open doors for the teams, and in other ways help the team get access to the senior decision makers during the sprint so the board of directors can stay informed about the experiments that are happening on the edge. This will help to suppress the immune system when time has come for the edge teams to pitch their leaders for funding and resources for implementation at the end of the sprint. The core teams in the core stream will work on adapting the existing core business model without altering it too much. Any attempt at changing the current business model will likely trigger an immune system response. The core teams will alone focus on protecting the existing business model by applying ExO attributes and experimenting with initiatives that can be new, strategic initiatives in the mother organization. These kind of initiatives will help protect the current business from the external disruption happening outside of the organization. The sprint teams will now start the sprint. Every week, each team will have a set of new assignments to work on, given to them by their coach. The specific weekly work schedule will be planned with you during the preparation phase. First workday of the week is usually when the sprint team starts to work on a new weekly assignment, and the last workday of the week is where the team meets with their coach to present their learnings and results of the week to get feedback and direction for their next steps. All assignments are available online and can be accessed by the teams at all times so they can catch up if they have fallen behind schedule or move forward ahead of schedule if they are ready for that. The first 4 sprint weeks are for defining new sprint initiatives. This is where the initial research on global trends, exponential technologies and disruptive startups is done, followed by rapid ideation to create rough high-level ideas. To get good ideas, you must get many ideas, and sprint teams often generate hundreds of ideas in few days. Many of these will be too similar to existing internal projects or maybe projects that failed in the past, and these should be eliminated from the list of ideas. By applying the ExO attributes from the ExO methodologies, the teams will start to turn the best of their initial ideas into very early-stage ideas with potential to impact millions of people in scalable ways. By quickly testing their most promising ideas through customer interviews, surveys or other kind of user testing, the teams select a short list of ideas to take to the Disrupt workshop that happens in Sprint Week 5. The Disrupt workshop is another important event during the sprint, as it intentionally aims at disrupting how the sprint teams think about their initiatives, how they intend to impact the world, your business and your clients, but also how they plan to build the new products and services they are planning to create. The focus is to come out of the Disrupt workshop with 10x more impactful initiatives at least. A panel of disruptors will be invited by Sprint Hero, and they have all been trained on the sprint methodologies. They all possess the exponential mindset that the sprint teams are on the way to acquire as well. The Disrupt workshop is followed immediately by a correction workshop, where the initiatives are attempted put back together as more exponential initiatives. The teams are now set for the second half of the sprint, where they refine their initiatives. They build low-fidelity prototypes, in hours or days, to get more in-depth feedback from the users that are presented to the prototypes. At this stage, it is key to get honest and fast validation from real potential users and clients that an idea is worth investing in. Once this validation is accomplished, a final presentation is put together in time for the final launch workshop in Sprint Week 10 or shortly after. The teams will get started on building minimum viable products if they are able to do that, but the most important outcome is to secure a supportive decision from sponsors from the mother organization or from external sponsors in the final launch workshop. The building of the product will start happening after the sprint and in the months to come, where the implementation of the selected initiatives shall follow the roadmaps and plans presented in the launch workshop by the sprint team. The implementation team that continues the work after a sprint may not be the same as the sprint team that created the initiative, but some of the team members should follow the initiative through the sprint and onwards through implementation to avoid loss of momentum and of ownership. Here are the headlines for each weekly set of assignments. Each assignment has a more detailed set of descriptions as well as tips and useful resources the sprint teams can leverage. The weekly rhythm may be unique for each team, and they are expected to work autonomously, free from any direction given by others. The sprint uses a coaching approach where the team is fully responsible for its progress, decisions and direction taken. The team can organize themselves in their weekly rhythm as they want. A key learning for teams that we expect to see all teams experience is the power of seeking external feedback on any plans and work done. This is where the ExO coach comes into the picture. A coach is not someone who does the work for the team, it is not a consultant. A coach is always reachable for a team but stays at an arm's length to be able to keep challenging the team to think differently and to experiment in new ways and achieve 10 times more impact through the initiatives than current products or services can. The recommended rhythm to get a sprint team started is to review the weekly assignment with the coach in the beginning of the work week. The team then works on the assignment throughout the week. The sprint teams consult the ExO community during the week by using advisor tickets that are available to each team. Each ticket gives access to an advisor selected by the team themselves out of more than 3,000 available ExO advisors. At the end of the work week, the learning and results of the team is reviewed together with the ExO coach, and the priorities for the following week is discussed. The sprint tools used during the sprint will be shared with the sprint team participants and anyone else who are interacting with the teams before, during or after the sprint. These tools are all available online and are typically accessed from sprinthero.com or openexo.com. Other tools from other websites may be used as well. Learning to unlock abundance is very important to be able to transform any organization, and the sprint teams will be experiencing the power of tapping into external resources throughout the sprint. We hope you found this first introduction to the sprint process helpful.